Hello everyone, Supreme Com here. So let's go over what we have for Thursday night update. So obviously I am reviewing it now on Friday. But let's see what we have. So we got some maintenance notice over here. Again, we'll undergo maintenance during the following period for investigating and resolving errors over here. So it's gonna begin on the June 27th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So only gonna be 2 hours of maintenance over here. So I don't know if they are gonna give us any compensation for that, but we can look out for that. But they may or may not have to give us that, but we'll see later on. In terms of this week's new banner, it should be should be this one over here. So this one is a 15 rounds only exclusive part pickup both side capsule ticket. But what's interesting about this variation of it, there's only gonna be 5 units where you can pick up from it. So I highly gonna suggest people not to summon for it because these units are rather old. Obviously they do have the alteration, but like any of these like return banners, their limited time alteration are not available. So I feel like summoning on them right now would not be the best case scenario. So we can actually take a look at the banner in a bit as well. So you can do this 15 rounds, but there's every rounds there's 5 steps. So in total you can do up to 75 multi summons in total. That's a lot. There's also some other like bonuses or some freebies. They give you every step is gonna give you a 10x gold capsule ticket or those capital tickets over here. So that is gonna be good. On the very last step, you are gonna have 1x expired exclusive part exchange tickets, and also gonna be 1 expires skill slash trade upgrade tickets over here. These are good over here, but the fact that you can only pick between 5 units, which are I would say they're a little bit dated, but that does not mean they're not good, right? But if people, for example, people want to summon them right now, but they won't be able to alterate it unless you have already summoned for them already previously and have alterated them. You just kind of want extra dues to feed into either the level up like their ego skill levels or like the portrait levels and all that. But in terms of other news we have is gonna be we are gonna have for number 87 arena. So this time around it's gonna be that one summon 3v3 arena over here. So start building out your 3v3 squad over there. So let's actually take a look at what kind of banner we're talking about over here, and then I'm gonna quickly talk about those types of unit because I do have full sets of them already myself, so I can give you guys a brief kind of like a not really like a breakdown, but just a brief overview of like, all right, what's the overall unit dues and their strengths and weaknesses and all that. But this banner over here, so like I said, the rate is actually pretty good. Not gonna lie, the rate is one of the more enticing things people might look at it in terms of like whether or not to summon or not. In terms of the prime pool rate, that's what we're looking at. So it's gonna be a 100% draw rate for the first step, 71%, 71, right? 71, 71, and then 100%. So all in all, this banner does have excellent drop rate, but I am personally not gonna summon for this week. So in terms of what we have over here, we have Strike Freedom, and then we have Barbados Lupus Rex. We got the Unicorn Vanix over here. We got the Hainu Gundam, and then we got the Full Armor Unicorn over here. The Full Armor Unicorn is our first Sokai unit to have his alterations over here, like brand new alterations. Anything prior to that has not gotten their alteration yet. So that's pretty much it. So only 5 units over here. So you are pretty limited. Like Strike Freedom is like terrible pre-alteration. So if you guys are thinking about getting Strike Freedom, you might as well just wait until it the rerun of it. Like pre-alteration, that is horrible. The portrait is okay, right? Like before alteration is still good. It's actually last year, the first year anniversary units over here, but that time around we did not have the alteration yet, so they were just a little bit pushed back. But overall, the kits out to alteration is fantastic in a way. So that is that, right? So what you can get from the tickets, right? You can hop over to the shop, and then you can go to here, the caps of freebie. So this one you can pick. It's gonna be 1 ticket per part. So you can get up to 15 tickets because you have to go to 15 rounds. So I'm not even gonna do the math for how many parts and how many hearts you can get. You can get 15 tickets in total, And then you can also get 15 tickets for the skill slash trade upgrade over here. So you can pick either or. It doesn't really matter. It just really depends on what kind of preference you want your build to be for. Alright, so since I do have the full set of every one of those units, so I can just quickly give you guys a good brief explanation of what they can do and stuff. So as for the strike freedom over here, so one of the three word tags you can expect this guy to have is going to be X exclusive, Gundam type, and mid range and high mobility. Actually four. Because how it was like how they were made back then, they didn't really like, I don't know, like the word tag they did back then was not as good, depending on what kind of build they're going for over here. Obviously the strike freedom head is one of the main selling point of this guy over here, but the condition is going to be pretty awful because back then it was okay, but as time went on, because this alteration came out, I'm gonna actually put the day of when it came out. I probably want to say at least 4 months ago. That's my guesstimation, but I'm pretty sure it's around that time. This is gonna be a really hard, combo to deal with over here. You have to be running a dual saber weapon and then a twin rifle weapon over here. So this is not gonna be your go-to, for example, right? We have seen so many better head nowadays that have easy to activate portrait. Those I think should be the one you want to go for. This one over here is straight up hard to use. Even me personally right now, I'm thinking about switching over to like a different set of head, but I do have it at level 99 and red 2 red marks over here, so I don't think anytime soon I'll be swapping into any other head. But this one, it's pretty good. You have excellent portrait over here, excellent stat, but it just I feel like the condition may be a little bit more not too good. In terms of the other part, we do have actually not actually a lot to talk about because all the other parts are EX skill based. So most of the time, it's either you want to use it purely for the EX skill base, or you just want it for for sub slotting or even on your main build. I would say the overall stat is not too bad for this chest over here. That's what I gotta say for that. In terms of the EX skill, it's just your regular long beam with these 60-second cooldown over here. So not anything too spectacular, but you can definitely put this on like your main build because you do coming at like 4100 for the shot attack. 3290 defense is actually pretty decent enough. So this one will make it into the top rankers. You can obviously put this on your main slot and then sub slot something for to get that extra portrait and all. But we have gone through so many shop build like right after strike freedom that has good portrait for the chest. So I feel like strike freedom chest is mainly supposed to be like for the skin purposes, for the skin EX skill, or even for that appearance. In terms of the arm over here, it's gonna be, I'm not gonna talk too much about this kind of set of arm. I didn't even alterate this one because I didn't care too much about like the beam sword from the meteor unit, so I didn't bother alterating it. I don't usually recommend like I don't even like I wouldn't normally subslide a arm plus integrated shield because they do have their subslide parameter is gonna be a little bit less. I think it's cut by half just because there are two parts together. That's why they do have to cut it in half. But in terms of the word check, this one is not gonna be your most go-to ace exclusive mid range, so not gonna be anything too spectacular. But the two R2 custom E skill, they are a little bit special because of I guess these are like the anniversary units, so they want to make it a little bit more special. So if you guys take a look over here, after maxing out everything, their cooldown is actually 73 seconds, and for the first time you use this, it's only 19 seconds. So normally, for our regular custom E skill at max level, they come in at 79 seconds, right? Is it 79 seconds? Gosh, I don't know. Actually, give me a second. Just want to double check. Oh, 79, yep. So these are actually 6 seconds shorter in cooldown. And our first time usage is going to be 1 second earlier for this one over here. Yep, just 1 second earlier. In terms of the backpack, these are one of your extremely fast to use custom E skill. So this one is actually, instead of 12 seconds, it's gonna come in at 8 seconds. Incredible. And then this one actually did not give it that premium 73 seconds. So it is what it is. But these are like pretty good custom EX skill. Obviously, in terms of animation, they are fabulous for this one over here, the MAT mode over here, the high mobility mode. In terms of the freedom, Blake is more of like, um, the generic freedom one. In terms of the beam rifle, it's okay. It does the job, pretty high stat afterwards. So, but like I said, all these part over here does not have alteration. So whatever I say right now wouldn't really make that much of a point, or it's not gonna like be anything you can use right away. But I'm just gonna give you guys like what we have in terms of like the part I have over here, because I do have it alterated, so I can give you guys a little bit more insight of like what they do after alteration. Alright, in terms of the full armor unicorn over here, this is the full spin of him right here. In terms of the full armor unicorn, it is one of the first Soka units to receive is like on initial release having it like an alteration. So this was a pretty big thing back then. The only thing I was able to alterate back in the day was only this one over here, the full armored attack over here. So nothing too spectacular in terms of animation. It's okay. But in terms of like the overall build, this one I feel like it's more of like that, balance build. So this one is gonna work pretty well. If you want to decide to do like a dual build, like a pretty even out, 500 like 50k melee and 50k shot, for example, just a rough guesstimation on that. In terms of the portrait, I believe the chest is actually pretty decent. I think a lot of people still use this one nowadays, if I recall. But I would say it is kind of dated at this point in time. The stat is not as good. It has kind of fallen up a little bit. But if you guys are a big fan of Unicorn, they have been releasing now, I think, up to 6 Unicorn like in the game already. The latest one we have is going to be the Unicorn Perfectibility. I think that one should be the better one of a shot unit. But this one is just more of like a centric, like a balance build, which is not too ideal. You guys see the tag over here, Pro Tag, high power Gundam type, and actually AC exclusive as well. So this one is actually branching out to a lot of different tags, but this one has fallen up a little bit, a lot already. So this is probably not something I would recommend people to even alterate and get. Alright, so I actually did not get the head of the Unicorn Phoenix over here, but that is going to be okay because I believe that one is actually, I don't actually know what that one actually do, so forgive me for that. In terms of the Unicorn Phoenix over here, I think the only one more noticeably is probably going to be the leg over here, because the leg has one of these, like, like in general, like EXQ reduction by the max 20% over here. But this one may not be the best case scenario for everyone to use, because two I would say drawbacks is going to be you have to be using a high firepower, which not a lot of people might be using. That's one thing. And then this one is locked behind a back part, which is too restrictive in a way. So I feel like over the course we have got so many better parts that have these two similar situation, where I feel like those are just a little bit will outclass this one a little bit just because of the overall stat. This one I would say is another, you can say, not good in stat, because like, look at those offensive stats and defensive stats. It's just not good overall. But in terms of good animation, I think the backpack does pretty good works over here. But this one is not really going to give you any shot attack up or melee attack up. This one is strictly going to raise your armor by 68% at max, and also going to give your squad a physical resistance up by 29%. So I want to say there's anything too much to talk about for the Phoenix over here. I feel like it's going to be a hot skip as well. But if you guys truly do like this unit, like I said, go for them, because I'd rather have you guys, should be obviously going for something you guys like, instead of just chasing for the parts that has the best overall stats and all that. The Beam Magnum still does hold up pretty good. The shot attack is okay in terms of the portrait over here. So this one is actually pretty good. So when you're using high firepower, and then when you're using ace exclusive, you do get a shooting power up and then an EXQ power up. So it is actually pretty decent in terms of what they do over here in terms of the portrait. But the stat is going to be a little bit on the lower tier over here. So alright, let's move on to the other set over here. We can click on it. So up next we have the Barbilla Lupus that actually has this alteration not too long ago. But I'm gonna say many times over here, because of how it is an actual anime, the Barbados actually over here is a melee suit. But the shot defense is gonna be significantly higher than its melee counterpart, because of the armor that is used in the Barbados over here. So that is why. Overall, it's not the best. Overall, it is a good unit in terms of the portrait over here. I feel like the chest portrait is actually pretty decent. Just decent enough where you can kind of use it. But like I said again, the melee defense is just non-existent. So this is probably not gonna be your best bet. But if you do have it at a pretty high portrait level, I feel like you can still continue to use it. Good word check is all protect and high mobility, so any this will pretty much work for any build over here. The main noticeable one is probably going to be the leg over here because how this one is actually built. We just take a look at the portrait over here. Both of them are double EXQ buffing over here, but the first portrait actually start out at 20% instead of your regular 17%. So this is already like an EXQ or portrait level 3 to 4 already. So this one is actually pretty good just at base level 1. Obviously, everything at max out is going to be that 30 to 35 split over here, so not going to be anything too groundbreaking. But like I said again, we have gone through so many melee build already that has better, like same portrait and better stat already. So if you guys have not already, if you guys don't have more videos over here, I would suggest you guys focus on some other choices instead. I feel like this one has kind of aged a little bit already. All right, but the main part for the Barbuda Lupus is actually going to be Tailblade over here, the custom EX skill over here. This actually is the highest, race multiplier over here, coming in at a 59%. So this is probably the highest in game so far. So this one is gonna give you a massive boost to whatever your next EX skill is gonna do. So this one is pretty powerful. Even at base level 1, I believe comes in at, what does it comes in at base level 5? It should be 50 if I'm not mistaken. Probably that's my guess here. Yeah, this one is actually pretty good. Also not gonna give you any health restoration, but it is gonna increase the speed by 20. You have 20 at max as well, so not too bad overall. Like the Barbuda Lupus does have some pretty decent part over here, but it aged a little bit in terms of the other parts and all that, but pretty good overall unit. I'm pretty sure Barbuda Lupus is a pretty big overall fan to like a lot of people. Alright, the last unit we're gonna quickly go over is gonna be the Hanyu Gundam. This guy has significantly fallen off already. In terms of the head, it's actually still pretty good. I do see some people kind of use it here and there for that PB purpose. But in terms of the overall portrait, you can just take a look. Any shop build nowadays does have these kind of generic portrait already. Your general like EXQ buff by 30%, or shot attack up by 35%. So it can be vice versa. It doesn't really matter. But this one is pretty generic. And then these one are just a little bit more easier to use in a way. In terms of the chest over here, the portrait is actually not too good. Enemy EXQ power reduced to 80%. I don't really like these kind of EXQ, but some people do kind of like it. That's just my overall opinion on it, but it is gonna give you one shooting power up by 30%, so it can be good in some ways. In terms of the other EXQ, this one is actually like the counter mechanic EXQ over here. It actually does. If you are fighting against a defender, this one actually break through their like defensive wall for whatever reason. I think this is how they built it. So this one is actually a pretty good pickup for testing EXQ, but it's not gonna give you any health restoration, so not gonna be good for like majority of the player base, I feel like. So this one, it can be good, but overall I don't think any other portrait. This one is just alright bad. Crit, come on man. Crit is not really too good. The beam saber is actually pretty good. It is gonna give you an initial charge up, and then also gonna give you EXQ power boosting. So this one is actually not too bad. The other part, it came out in a very long time ago. So the overall stat is not gonna compare to what we have nowadays. And we actually have a high new Gundam version Ka, so that one is definitely gonna be a lot more better than this guy over here as his counterpart. Because that one also has a commander tag. So like I said, all these part it's not really, I don't want to give it like sound like I don't like them in a way, but like I said, they just have aged it in a way where we have so many better parts already. So I feel like summoning on that banner may not be your best case scenario. So that's will be pretty much it for this video over here. I just want to get my thoughts out on these kind of parts over here because they have aged it quite a lot already. So I feel like save your hearts right now. Don't try to summon on those banners. So with that being said, this is pretty much it for this video over here, and then I'll catch you guys all on the next one.